It's Monday, June 18th, 2012. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, laptops.
All right.
Roar.
Let's do this. Oh, you want to hear some good stuff?
Possibly.
All right, this is the kind of material that people love, so I'm going to dish it out.
So it's poop and food.
It is poop.
Well,
So,
if we're going to have poop anecdotes, I got an anecdote myself, but go on.
I
Go on.
don't know. All right, so
I feel like every human being.
on Saturday I'm biking, and I decided to bike to the beach because it was all nice out. And
In Rockaway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I succeeded in doing so, and I went over the Adobo Bridge, which I will now call the Abobo Bridge.
Ah, so you went over. Last time I went out there, I didn't go over that bridge because it was already like 5 o'clock when I got out there.
So
and I was tired.
I left at 10:30. I got to the Abobo Bridge at like less than noon, even, right? So
It's a short ride if you push it.
Well, I went, extra a ways, right? So I went to Queens, and then I went to these two other parks. There's one that's the south part of the Corona Park, and then there's the
Oh, so you went out and then down.
I went out and down, and then there's the Forest Park, which I didn't know about till recently. So I went to the Forest Park, and then I went to the Abobo Bridge. So you go over the Abobo Bridge, and there's like this little landing there, and on the left side you can see JFK, and on the east side you can see Manhattan from real far away. And there's like this little like landing area with like a little building and a parking lot, and it's this like tiny little shore outcropping. You can even go under the bridge. There's people fishing. Good times. And then you go over the Veterans Memorial Bridge, and then you're on the beach. And it's weird because it's Wildwood, but if you turn around, you can sort of see Manhattan way over there, over yonder. So now I kind of want to get a little house over there. We should get a weekend house, and then on Friday after work we can bike over there, and then on Sunday we.
All right, tell you what, you pay for half of it.
All right, they had co-ops there. There was a building full of co-ops they were trying to sell.
So anyway,
right on the beach. Anyway, so I go out there. I'm biking down the boardwalk, right, to go west to take the Gil Hodges Bridge, which goes to Brooklyn, which goes back to New York.
yeah.
Right? So going west down the boardwalk, and my stomach hurts, and I'm like, it's probably this bumpy ass boardwalk. Right?
Usually that is not the cause of stomach hurt. That was simply you trying to postpone the inevitable.
So the Rockaway was quite longer than I expected, right? And I get down to like this other, I think it's called Reese Park, and then to get to this bridge, I was like, wow, it's kind of on the map was basically lying to me. I thought it would be like.
So you're on that gigantic bike path that just goes like forever.
I took the boardwalk, and then I had to like do some tricks to like get over the highway to the other on the north part of Rockaway, so I could actually get on the bridge, and basically, like when I was up in the other area, in Queens, there were plenty of like porta potties everywhere and everything. It was all good, But in this area, not so much.
Not to looking so good.
Not to looking so good. Crowded beach, people everywhere, even on like side paths, like this dude fishing. This, not exactly a wooded area. All right. So I go over this bridge, and I sort of get to this area where it's like crazy highway, and you're sort of getting back into Brooklyn, but it's very tricky to figure out like exactly how to get.
I know where you were.
Right?
Yeah. But there's like this kind of mall nearby.
Well, no, if you look on the map, it's where I originally wanted to go. It's sort of like this is airfield there, and you can theoretically bike on the airfield, on the runways, but it's not JFK. It's a small plate, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't go in there because I had to go elsewhere.
Had to go.
Yeah. So apparently, like right after the bridge, like, everyone was going straight, and I saw this little, path went into the woods, and I'm like, hot diggity dog, going in the woods. So I go, whoop, right into the woods, and I go deep into the woods. It's getting a little maze-like in there, and I'm like, well, this is good, right? But there's paths in the woods, but it's sort of maze-ish, and I'm looking around, and I'm listening, and it's not like I could go physically into the woods. All I can really do is go like near the path.
So you're trying to get just far enough away from people to
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I laid down 2 logs and then used some leaves. There was some good leaves there that I knew were not dangerous.
Wait, what do you mean you laid down 2 logs? Can't just pop a squat?
That's what I did, laid down 2 logs.
Okay, for some reason I had this image of you taking 2 logs and laying them next to each other, then sitting on that and then laying down 2 logs.
No, there were no logs of that nature.
The one time I ever had to poop in the woods unprepared. I mean, I've been camping where you dig a hole, and, you know,
Yeah.
but the one time, this was in high school, I was out biking, same thing, with a bunch of people, and I had to poop like all day, but I just didn't. I was busy like all day. And then we're out biking. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go home and poop, and it was getting to be a crisis situation. So I figure, hey, let's go through the woods. There's a park here. I got to use the bathroom. Bike through the woods. We get to the park. Bathroom's locked because it's like midnight. So I'm not going to make it. So I basically just bike off into the woods in the dark, like down this trail in the middle of the woods.
Oh, so this was broad daylight. There was no darkness whatsoever.
The problem with the darkness is that there's no way to tell if the delivery was clean or any sort of follow-up there. So basically, I rocketed one out. It was one, and it was a rocket.
So the thing is, right, is I laid him out there. I wiped with some leaves that were pretty good. Worked pretty well.
No poison ivy?
No, it was
Poison
like
oak?
no, it was like a real tree. So it's just like normal leaves.
Poison sumac?
Like a maple tree or something. You know, it's real normal leaves. They're
All right.
they're nice and big. They worked. Right. Anyway, but then I got sort of fascinated because
Okay, go on.
because even though like you know it was a clear day, it didn't there was really nothing in the air. But, like, within seconds, like, tons of flies came out of nowhere all over that poop.
Scott, that's what flies do.
I know, but it's like there were no flies,
Scott, it'd be like
and
if
then
we're
suddenly tons of flies.
it'd be like if we're in Wildwood, or an arcade anywhere, and you hear that fourth mix off in the distance. You're like, hot shit, here I come. Except imagine if what is fourth mix to you is poop to that fly.
I know, right?
Remember we were at RIT and we heard a rumor there might be a DDR machine somewhere in the vicinity of campus.
Anyway, so the final bit of the story, right? Is
Okay,
that,
so the story was you pooped in the woods and no one saw you.
right. So while I'm examining the flies, right,
And by extension, the poop.
right, I hear two people coming down from the opposite direction, and I made a getaway, and I think they saw me make a getaway.
You should have
But they
stayed
didn't
there and
get-
been like, oh my God, someone pooped here.
No, but they didn't I just sort of like they saw a guy look at them quickly as they were maybe like 50 feet away, get on a bike and go the opposite direction.
By doing that, you cemented in their heads the idea that whoever that was,
That's cool because they were walking. They didn't have bikes. So there's no way they ever caught up with me or saw me or knew me.
I'm going to laugh so hard if we get an email who was like, I was in the woods the other day and some guy pooped and ran off.
I'm sure someone will try to say that, maybe, just because you said that. But yeah. And
so-
then I biked home.
It's Monday.
But I didn't get to go. I'm going to go back because now I want to go to the airfield that I didn't
It's
go
Monday.
to.
It's Science Day. But first, you reminded me I might make this an extra thing today. Sure enough, poop report is still going.
Nice.
Oh my, that's a blast from 2000 and poo.
Yeah.
So you got a news?
All right, so check this out. I guess this counts as news, right? So Apple came out with them new MacBooks,
They did.
and so they have the quote retina display on the MacBook Pro 15-inch, and they canceled the 17-inch completely, which was that was a good move because who the fuck wants that thing? I don't know.
Now,
Anyone who
Retina-
has that, seriously.
Well, the thing is, there are cases. If we're talking about laptops, there's the case of the ultra portable, like super tiny laptop that's to go, and then there's the giant laptop you put in your checked baggage.
That's the 15-inch is the giant laptop.
That could be a
17 should not exist.
I could see a use
Might
for.
as well just bring a monitor and a desktop with you.
17-inch is still way smaller. and easier
Bring
to
a
carry.
Mac Mini and a monitor with you.
So monitors are actually a giant pain in the ass to transport.
Anyway.
Though the X230 has an option for the external second monitor.
See, Apple loves external adapters so much, right? You know what? Well, I don't understand why they don't do this, which is make an adapter you can buy for $50 that has all sorts of video inputs. Well, in their case, it would have one video input, which would be the Thunderbolt, whatever, right? Or mini HDMI, whatever the hell they use.
Yeah.
And then the other end goes into the iPad, so you can basically use an iPad as a monitor with this $50 thingy attached to it.
That would be a great idea.
Like, I'd buy iPads just to use as monitors. But anyway, so the thing is, the resolution of this new MacBook is incredible. It's 2880 by 1800.
Yeah, meanwhile, the laptop I'm thinking about buying has, I think, 1330 by 900.
My 24-inch monitor at work doesn't have 2880 by 1800. It's 19-something by 1200, right? And this is only 15 inches. So this is 220 PPI. That is pretty great. There is no discussion in that factor, right?
Other than you'll have some trouble playing games at that resolution.
Well,
but,
yeah. You're gonna have trouble playing games on the Mac anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Touche.
And it's it's a 15-inch laptop. Who wants that? But whatever. So the thing is, it's 220 pixels per inch. And the thing is, when they originally came out with Retina, right, it was on the iPhone 4, which I have, which is like 300-something pixels per inch. Oh, here's a little chart.
Well, it has to do with the distance from your eyeball.
Right, well, that's the bullshit line that they gave you, which is, since you hold the iPad a little further away from yourself, we can still call it Retina if if it has less PPI because you're not holding it as close to your face as a phone. And it's like, you can stick, all right, whatever.
The thing is, by that
and
logic,
they're like, well, you keep a laptop even farther away, right? So by that logic, right?
That 800 by 600 non-native CRT that I had was Retina if I stand across the room.
Exactly. But they're basically they're arbitrarily choosing how many inches they think is normal to be away from it to make this thing correct. Here's the problem, and this great article explains the whole thing. Their assumption of Retina, right, is based on 20/20 vision, and apparently 20/20 vision is not what you think it is. 20/20 vision means you can read the average person reading the eye chart from 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Apparently, most people have better than 20/20 vision.
Yeah, 20/20 is the standard of this or better is considered effectively perfect vision.
Yeah.
Because measuring better doesn't matter.
But the point is 20/20 isn't even close to perfect vision. People who don't have eye problems can mostly see way better than 20/20.
Never mind, even people with eye problems,
with glasses,
corrective lenses can give you better than normal human vision already.
So, I could say I have 20/20 vision, but the point is I could read the eye chart from farther than 20 feet away, right?
You want to have an eye chart contest? Me and my cyborg glasses versus you and your biological non-coordinator?
I will play the eye chart game with anyone, anytime.
I think I'll win. We need a neutral party
right.
to make an eye chart that neither one of us has ever seen before.
But at least according to this article, right, he says, but while 20/20 vision might traditionally refer to standard vision, most research suggests that normal vision is actually much better than 20/20. In fact, people with normal vision usually won't see their eyesight degrade to 20/20 until they are 60 or 70 years of age. So when I'm maybe 70, then I'll have 20/20 vision, right? So the thing is, he calculates, based on who knows what kind of math that I don't understand, what it really takes to get a real Retina display. So it's like at first, I thought Apple was bullshitting. I thought that the iPhone 4 was Retina and the other ones weren't. No, in fact, none of them are Retina, right? In order for the iPhone at 3.5 inches to be Retina, the resolution would need to be 2772 by 1848, which is 952 ppi. Right? And this is even giving, Apple their inch distance calculation, right?
Yep.
The iPad would need to be 5968 by 4486, which is 769 ppi. And he gives a whole chart here. He also shows, this is the cool part, the ultra high resolution image of Earth that NASA lets you download.
Yeah.
He shows you how much of it you'll be able to see at once in full resolution on a theoretically true Retina device. And none of them can see the whole thing, but the 27-inch iMac at true Retina, by his calculations, you can see almost the whole thing at once because it's sort of widescreen and there's a lot of black area on the sides. And he's, on the one hand, it's annoying because it means right now our monitors aren't as good as as they're saying they are. But he's very happy about this, actually, because it means, hey, shit's only going to get better, even though he doesn't bring in any sort of monitor technology knowledge into this, that's showing that it's possible. He just sort of makes the assumption that we're just going to keep making higher resolution monitors forever until we get them to be so high resolution that it's true Retina. And then he's excited about that because it means you'll be able to look at your monitor and not even be able to tell that it's like, a camera or, you'll look at it and you won't even be able to tell that it's rim versus a picture of rim. Right, looking at the thing.
Yeah, well, the trouble we'll run into is display technology is one thing, but also the processing power to make images like that.
He sort of makes his assumption that we're just going to keep advancing with pixels per inch the same way that, say, hard drive space or CPU cycles, keep increasing. And he doesn't bring any knowledge of actual how LCDs work or LCD technology or even cameras.
I don't think it'll
cameras
be LCDs.
have to get better. And, cameras have to get better. Processors have to get better. All these things have to get exponentially better to be able to push these pixels. I think it's a longer ways out than he thinks. It may even be something that we see later in our lives to get true, that many pixels per inch.
Well, at the same time, it's hard to say because technology is moving both slower than I'd ever hoped and faster than I could ever have imagined.
Yeah, but it's always weird, what areas move, right? I mean, you see things, for example, like, we've seen flexible display prototypes like e-paper for years, all these flexible monitors on like a little plastic card. I haven't seen them for at least 10 years, and no one's ever brought one to market for reals. Right? But yet there are things that you've never seen a prototype of anywhere, and then suddenly, boom, here it is in stores by tomorrow. And it's like, what? So, yeah.
All right. So this is a little bit of kind of cool sci-fi. MIT has created a special kind of fuel cell.
Okay.
This fuel cell runs on glucose. You want to know why it runs on glucose?
It's full of some biological organism.
Nope. So you can put it in a brain.
Oh, I read this.
And it can power itself.
But how does your brain know to send enough glucose to it?
The thing is, it doesn't need to.
Okay.
Now, obviously, this is, early. I don't want to do what everyone on Slashdot does, which is, here's a technology article. Clearly, these scientists have not thought of all the basic, simple arguments that I thought of just now reading the headline.
No, I know that they have. I'm just wondering what the answers are, because clearly the scientists have thought of these things.
Yep.
If I can think of it, they can think of it, and because they've published something, they probably already have the answer. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than the scientists. I have found the problem in your thingy. I'm saying, what solution did they come up with to these obvious problems that even I could see?
Glucose gets through the blood-brain barrier, and that's what the brain uses to power itself.
It does indeed.
So it's just in the blood. So if you have a thing like a probe in the brain that also is connected to the blood supply, this thing can just strip electrons off of glucose molecules and use that to make enough power to run a very small device. Now, obviously, the questions are more things like, it's more kind of like Deus Ex, where, all right, I can need a power bar to power up my cybernetics, but it also means, what if the technology starts eating too much power? You didn't eat enough. That could get dangerous in a hurry.
Diabetes.
More like the opposite of diabetes.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can have diabetes both ways, right? If you're a diabetic, you got sugar pills and insulin shots.
Yeah, well, it depends on whether or not you're hyper or hypoglycemic.
Right, but the point is this could, it could be bad in those ways.
The thing is, I'm getting hopeful because there's a lot of different, we were just talking about like the retina display. This one guy looked at it from this one perspective, and there's so many other factors that make it so hard to guess when it'll be a reality. Cybernetic brain implants and like real cybernetics that are somehow integrated with our nervous system and augmented reality and all those things together. I've seen a lot of articles in the last few years of all these kind of side angles of that technology all starting to converge. And I think that stuff is moving a lot faster than most people realize.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to get Google Glass pretty much day one, even if it sucks.
Even if it sucks.
Yeah.
It's going to suck.
I've waited my whole life. I've been waiting since as soon as I knew there were computers.
There are people who have stuff like it, or, they've had it for a long time. Like MIT had the thing you can wear around your neck.
Yep.
And what's his name had glasses he made. What's the guy's name? I forget. Anyway.
But that's, on the curve of like people adopting things, that's not even early adopter. That's innovator.
Right.
That's like one dude. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to be the first augmented reality dude. I have enough time to be the second wave, meaning I can buy it in a store and it just works mostly.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. I'm getting increasingly excited about this stuff. Even if our generation doesn't get it, I'm kind of doubtful that it'll happen in time before my brain's old and decrepit. But there's a tiny chance I'll be able to upload myself into a computer before my body dies. Mm-hmm. Tiny chance. The fact that we're one of the first generations where that chance is not 0, but is some 0.00001 is a big deal to me. That's all. I think everyone should read this article because it's kind of neat stuff. But anyway, things of the day. So I don't mind dubstep, and I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's a subgenre.
It depends on the song in particular, right? Because some dubstep songs are just like, wah, wah, and the whole time. But some of them, right, they got some other stuff mixed in there, right? And that, I think those are, those I like,
I guess it doesn't differentiate itself enough from a lot of other similar subgenres for me. But nonetheless, no problems with it. Someone made a great YouTube video. It's really just an audio file. This is what dubstep sounds like to old people. And it's pretty good. I defy you to not at least almost crack up while you're listening to this, especially right toward the end. That's all. Nice and simple.
All right, so here's this great article I read. It's actually a two-parter or maybe even a multi-parter. I read all the parts that are here so far. And what it's about is really fascinating, and it's because we already know, right, that the language you speak has an effect on how you think about the world, right?
Yep.
Language controls thinking and vice versa. But this specifically focuses on the area of color, right? And how, for example, he starts off talking about the Japanese language, how there was the word ao, right, which is
the blue-green stuff?
right, which is blue. And they didn't even have a word for green, right, until, like, the word Midori came around, like, very recently, right? And then
as a result, a lot of Japanese people don't differentiate that much between blue and green.
Right, and it's like, basically, someone linked to this from an anime discussion of, like, here's why sometimes you're watching an anime and the street light is blue, even though in Japan, if you go and look at street lights, they're green, right? But it's like, how come in the anime the street light was blue instead of, right? It's because it's the same name. So you pick up the Crayola crayon and, people don't, and it affects how people can see. And the really interesting part, right, was they drew this little color grid. Look at the color grid, right? And they did this study where they had people look at this grid. And then, for example, they would say, all right, highlight all the ones that you consider to be yellow. Now highlight all the ones you consider to be green. Now highlight the section you consider to have the blues.
Chartreuse, puce.
Right. And it's sort of like he even uses the XKCD comic as an example, right? And pretty much it comes down to, everyone has different words for different colors, and depending on your language and your words.
Well, like you, Captain Red in Advance Wars, it was clearly orange, and I can prove it from screenshots.
No, it's right. Anyway.
It's orange.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. So, it gets pretty fascinating here when he talks about how, like, these people only had so many words for colors, so therefore they didn't differentiate between these two, and it's pretty cool stuff. And it's not just color blindness, right? It's the fact that you have different words. So we don't have a word that's for different green and blue, so we consider them to be the same color.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm looking at a screen right now, and there's some blue and some green, and the difference is, like, palpable.
Yep. But there are other people, they had a different word for green and yellow green. Right? It's like there are distinct colors in this one particular language. So these people, like, they can just tell right away, oh yeah, that's the yellow-green color and that's green-green.
So, will internet people did we grow up in the era of hex codes for writing HTML?
Something like that.
Is that?
Yeah.
To this day, I remember 238E23 was the color I picked to use as the font in the first blog I ever made.
He even talks about how Darwin was upset that he tried to teach his kids to colors, and they had a really hard time for quite a few years. Like, there's something about kids learning to differentiate colors. It doesn't, it takes a while.
I remember when I was really, really young, I hated the color orange because it had a whole bunch of letters in it compared to most of the other colors.
Well, the reason, right? So the reason,
and nothing rhymed with it.
So the reason that children have a hard time learning the colors, right? And this is the point of the whole thing, right? Is that before you learn the language of the colors, what their names are, the right side of your brain is doing the color figuring work. But then once you learn the name of the color, it switches over, and the left side of the brain does that work, right? And it's pretty cool. You got to read this. It's good.
All right. So, in the meta moment, the book club book is still
Q-Teen 84.
I gotcha.
No, I'm mixing it up.
1Q84?
Yeah. By Haruki Murakami.
It's I'm pretty much done with it. I'm getting near the end. There's a character I like more now than I thought I would have liked.
There's a reason that everyone on the subway is reading this book like every day.
It's a pretty good book.
It's the most commonly seen subway book of the past months. So you should read that shit. We got any other meta stuff? You should go to our website. You should go to Kineticon.
Yep, Kineticon's coming up in Hartford, Connecticut at the Connecticut Convention Center? The
Hartford Convention Center?
It's the only one there.
Connecticut State? I don't know what it's called. It's the only big convention center in Hartford. There's nothing near it. It's just a convention center.
It's a pretty good con because it's not an anime con, not a gaming con, though it has more good board gaming of the tabletop variety. than any con I've ever been to, including PAX and MagFest.
Yeah, let's hype up the board gaming, right? So not only is their board game library astounding, pretty much including all the big Euro games as well as a lot of like rare older games that are hard to find, but there's plenty of tables and it's not super crowded like PAX is. You can get a table very easily. You walk up, you take out a game, you give them your con badge or your driver's license or whatever, you get a game, you play it. For playing games, you get tickets. And those tickets can be used to cash in to get stuff, sort of like the arcade where you play skee ball and then you get a plastic frog, right? Only the payout ratios are not rip-offs like the arcade. Like, for 10 tickets, you can get a $40 board game, which is, like, unbelievable. You just got paid with a real board game, an expensive one, for playing board games. And the only money you had to pay was the money you paid to get into the convention. If you walk out with one board game, which you can easily get more than one in like a day of gaming, and assuming you don't do anything else at the con, you just got a free badge because basically you bought a board game, and like for buying a board game, we will let you in the con for free. So if you get 2 games by playing games for, say, you could play games, say, all day Friday, all day Sunday, and enjoy the rest of the con on Saturday or something like that. You know, Super Art Fight, you wouldn't want to miss that. And you'd basically get 2 free board games. So it's like you buy a board game, you get one free, and you get a con badge free. That's a great deal. How can you not go to Kineticon?
Yep, July 13th, 14th, 15th. We'll be there.
Yeah.
So, laptops.
I got one.
It's getting about laptop season.
No, I got one.
We did a show about this once, long time ago.
And then we ran out of show ideas.
In June, actually,
and we decided
2008. But, you know, at the most recent Anime Boston PAX, my laptop can't really play modern HD video anymore. It's an old Centrino.
I don't understand this, right? Because I had that Core Solo. That Core Solo can play pretty much any video just fine.
Scott, this is probably slower than that. It's a Centrino.
The one you have was the model after mine.
Yep, but it's got a Centrino, and it can play most HD video, but it can't play certain high-res HD video. Like, if you take like a video I export from Premiere to upload to YouTube, those it can't play at all, because those have a 50 megabit per second rate.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, even like fairly powerful computers have trouble playing those smoothly. I only upload them that way to YouTube because YouTube transcodes them to all the different YouTube standards.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, certain like anime fan subs are usually fine, but like a Blu-ray rip of a movie, not gonna play. It just can't.
I'm going, but mostly based on anime fan subs that I would download, because I haven't really, and that's not like I'm watching Blu-ray rips on that thing. Yeah, but anyway, so.
Yeah, so
you're the one who's buying a laptop. My laptop's all good.
So it's getting about time to buy a laptop again, but we did this old show on how to buy a laptop.
Well, I mean, it seems to be a popular thing, right? It seems back in our day, everyone had the desktop computer. That was the thing. And laptops were like, if you had mad monies, you had
When I was in high school, there was one kid who had a laptop. It was a 486 laptop, and he'd run Nesticle on it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was a Pentium. It was something. I forget. This was 8th grade.
But then there were people, it started to happen that laptops are just the primary computer, and people didn't even have desktops. And I think a lot of people go that way today.
Yep. So when we did that show way back, I mean, laptop advice was pretty straightforward. If you can afford, basically you choose between size and power, and you just pick which one of those is more important. And when in doubt, you might as well go for the extreme of one or the other.
Yeah, but
I mean, if it's portable, you're going to use it on a plane, get a tiny one. If it's something you put in your check bags and bring to a place like college, like it's mostly just sitting on your desk, but then you bring it home, get a big one. There weren't tablets really back then, not like we have now. There weren't even smartphones to the degree that we have them now. Mm-hmm. There weren't even really netbooks to the degree that we have them now. And the landscape has changed so much that the advice is kind of different now. I think most people don't need laptops.
Well, it depends, right? I mean, if you are not doing typing intensive applications, right? If you just want to like browse the web and look at some files while you're on the go, you could probably just get an iPad. I mean, what do you need? You only need a laptop if you need to be able to compute,
type?
Right?
Even
you're
then,
going
you
to
can
do some
keyboard.
sort of work. Like if you're coding on the go, you need a laptop.
Now, what I think is interesting is that because of this, I think it's weird because the MacBook Air came out, and then many ultra portables seem to go down that road and try to be like the MacBook Air, like be stupidly thin, but yet bigger in every other dimension, thus not any easier to carry around.
Yeah, I don't understand these people.
But that after that happened, then the pads really took off and the tablets. And I think there's been a shift there was a time when netbooks were super popular because everyone wanted to have a tiny little computer that they could use at like Starbucks or on the go, at a convention, have some internet, display some stuff. And tablets have mostly destroyed that market because I think the majority
here's what happened, right?
The majority of the people who got netbooks really just wanted the stuff that a tablet does. A netbook was just the cheapest way to do that.
The reason the netbook was crazy popular, there were some people who were like, man, I can have my normal desktop computer, and then I can just have a really tiny computer that does almost nothing that's super portable, right? But most of the people, I think, who bought netbooks bought them because, oh my God, it's a computer for like $200. Holy shit. And then they would get them and they would buy a ton of them or one for everyone in the family or who knows, right? And they'd be like, oh, these are really crummy and they break and they don't work. So then they didn't get repeat customers and they didn't last very long at all before they were useless. They would physically break or become so slow that they were and then nobody bought them anymore, and that was the end of the netbook. I mean, I don't know if it's completely dead. If you still want one, I'm sure you can get one.
Yeah, well, I guess that a bunch of factors combined, and we're at the point where that market of the ultra portable, ultra little, ultra cheap, ultra crappy laptop really doesn't have a market.
I think the other thing is that most of these people, you buy a powerful computer, right? And you're a stupid computer user. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. And you fill it up with malware and other crap because you're dumb. And you accidentally or intentionally fill it up with junk.
Even if you don't, not intentional. I mean, on my laptop, my Fujitsu, ultra portable, I spent a lot of money on in 2008-ish. It's actually, I reinstalled Windows because Cruft had built up. Windows lets Cruft build up.
I don't have Cruft building up.
I had Cruft build up, though most of it was actually Fujitsu updates that now that I reinstalled, I got rid of all that stuff.
Yeah, I got rid of all the stuff from the get-go. But anyway... if you're the dumb person who lets Cruft build up, your stuff gets slower and the computer gets less and less useful, and then you can reinstall to get back to where you were, right?
Most people don't realize that that's what you do, though.
Well, that's true. But the thing is, if you have a netbook, that thing's slow to begin with. It's going to take like a month before it's so slow you can't even use it.
Yep.
Because, the powerful computer, it's like you can fill it up with more crap before it's useless.
But I mean, at this point, I thought about it. Do I really need a laptop? Much like a long time ago, I bought a Mac to use as my primary PC because, PC gaming was dead at the time. I didn't need a desktop, computer like I had in the old sense. And it was a failure. It was a mistake. I went back to using a Linux PC within about a week. But all that aside, I really tried to think, do I really need a new laptop? Or can I just get by with this old one and or not even need one? And it turns out I do. I actually need a laptop for a lot of things. I travel a lot. And when I'm using a computer somewhere remote, I'm not surfing the net with it. I have a smartphone for that.
Yeah, right.
Like if I'm at the shore, I don't even need to bring a laptop. I got a smartphone. What am I going to do at the shore? Look at Twitter and then go to the beach.
Right.
And I have a data plan on the phone. I don't need a data plan on my computer anymore because I don't need the data drop that often. What I need the laptop for is typing shit because I type a lot of stuff. I need a laptop
Well, you could if you get an iPad that you can attach a keyboard to that.
Yeah, but that's a pain in the ass.
Right.
Also, I do video editing, and it turns out if I get a new laptop, they're actually, like the new X230, if I get it with the i7, comparable in power, not counting video card, to my desktop PC.
Right, but that's the thing is the video card, right? If PC gaming did not exist, I would not need a desktop computer.
I would, but only for HD video editing. That is literally the only thing I would need it for.
Right? I would just not have a desktop computer, and I would just get maybe I would even get the stupid Mac, but who knows what I would get, right? But I would just have a laptop only, maybe the Lenovo T, the bigger one.
Yep. Because there's a lot of hardware in that thing.
The normal size one, right? And then everything I could do on there except gaming, because you can't get a real video card in a reasonable laptop. And if I am getting a big gaming computer, I don't want one of those mega, right, freaking gaming laptops, because the reason a gaming laptop is no good is that, number one, it costs more money for less power, even if you go all out, than a desktop. And two, you can't detach the monitor from the keyboard, so you can't position yourself for gaming properly. It's no good. And if I'm plugging a keyboard into it, why didn't I just get desktop? This is, it's the whole purpose is stupid. And it's also, you can't upgrade it like you can a desktop, so you got to replace it more often. Gaming laptop is no good. But regardless, if I didn't play games, I would not need a desktop at all. I would just have a laptop. But this is the problem we're sort of running into here is you've got this range of devices that are all computers and all sort of do the same thing in different places. You got a smartphone, you got a tablet, you got a laptop, you got a netbook, a laptop, a desktop, an HTPC, right? All these devices. But if you have all of them, right, then it's like you hardly use any individual one of them because it's like, okay, if I'm on the subway, do I use the tablet or the phone? If I'm in bed, do I use the tablet or the phone?
That's something I've run into in general, that my living in the city has, there's a whole bunch of tangents I go off on. I don't want to go on those tangents, but living in New York, using a subway and or a bicycle to get around all the time has basically completely changed my computing landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Like night and day. Like if I didn't live in a major city, a smartphone actually is not that useful to me. But a laptop with a data connection would be much more useful, because in those, if I live outside of the city, I drive to places. I don't need to plan meeting up with people ad hoc like I do now. I mean, now we always have the texting and messaging and Google Latitude of, hey, we're all going to meet somewhere for dinner. Where do we eat? I don't know. And we literally don't plan at all. We just wander out into the city and all meet up and do stuff. Like it's not. And two, I spend a lot of time in the city, like standing outside of a place waiting for other people to show up. Laptop is useless for that. I'm not going to open up a laptop for 7 minutes of amusing myself. I'm not going to go into a Starbucks and by the time I sat down to open the laptop, you guys show up.
Yep.
But the phone is perfect for that.
Yeah, but it's a question of, okay, in these different situations, I would use these different devices. Should I have all of them or can I not? For example, I don't have a tablet. If I had one, I might use it lying on the couch, but I have an HTPC there and I could use my laptop on the couch or my phone on the couch.
Yep.
So,
and now that I'm buying a new laptop, I have an old laptop that for lying on the couch is just fine. In fact, it's actually super good.
So why spend money on a tablet if I have like 3 other devices that are already sort of going in that area? If I'm in bed, a tablet is probably more comfortable than the phone or the laptop I'm using in bed right now. But why should I buy a third device just to be slightly more comfortable in one situation?
Well, personally, the decision I have made, because I could try to do a thing like we did before. I'm like, well, if you're this kind of person, whatever. But now look at me. Businessy dude, also, podcasty nerd dude, goes to a lot of conventions. My needs are, I need a device. I mean, if you list out all the needs, then you can slice it up to figure out how many purpose-built devices you need. For example, what do we need, people like us? We need something that can play HD video and audio to pretty much any projector in the world at a convention.
That's got to be a laptop.
Yep.
No, I mean, you can maybe find a tablet that does that, but it's going to be...
Everyone I've seen trying to do something like that has failed.
Right. It's going to be finicky. We need something that's super reliable, and we need it multiple times a year. It's got to be a laptop.
It has to be a laptop, too, because it has to be powerful and versatile. I mean, we did that one PAX panel. We were playing games live, emulated in, like, MAME. I mean, you can't do
with
that.
Xbox controllers connected to, right?
Yeah.
Good luck getting that to go on some tablet that's running Android or iOS. Maybe if you had a Windows tablet, but then why don't you just have a freaking laptop?
All right. I need a device. I need my connectivity device, which is a class of device that didn't exist for me in 2008, but it's my smartphone now. I'm always connected. Anyone who messages me, emails me, calls me, tweets me, texts me, anything, I always have it. I literally leave this in the bathroom when I'm showering.
Well, I mean, there's also the smartphone is just you can't not have a smartphone, right?
So
I mean,
instead,
it's also the iPod music player. It's also
podcatcher.
My calendar. It's everything.
It's even my wallet for some things.
Yeah, and it's so small you can just take it anywhere, even places that a small like 8-inch tablet would be prohibitive.
I read a great article talking about how rapidly humans evolve. Sort of socially, or not evolve in the evolution sense, but in a more direct sense. People who lose a sense, like sight or smell or hearing, there's a specific sort of withdrawal they go through where the brain is like grasping for that sensory input that's not there anymore before it adapts around it. There was an article showing that if someone has been using a smartphone the way we do for more than some amount of time, it's not that long a time, it was like 6 months or so, that if the smartphone is unavailable, your brain literally reacts in a way that is indistinguishable to someone who has lost their sight or hearing. The brain treats it like you have lost a primary sense if your smartphone is not available.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sort of like when you pick up a hammer to hammer things, your brain basically makes that hammer not like, it's not thinking about your hand. It's like the hammer is now a part of your body.
Yeah, or driving a car.
Right.
You know this, when you're driving, like you're actually driving, not that we drive that much anymore, but your butt kind of gets replaced by your two rear wheels. Like you feel like the car is an extension of you. It's not this separate thing you're piloting.
Right, it's how your brain works. So, if you had a hammer in your hand all the time.
Yeah, 24/7. I'm showering, pooping, laying in bed. The last thing I do every night.
It's basically your brain has replaced your hand with the hammer. And if you lose the hammer, your brain is going to whoa.
That's why the one thing I worry about, if I get Google Glass, even if it's shitty, having it'll be trouble when I take it off. Like big trouble. I mean, look, what's the first thing I do in the morning? I hear the Uniqlo thing make its noise. And
I haven't heard it recently because I've been waking up too early.
I hear it, but the volume was like messed up and it was really quiet. So I'm laying there and I'm like, I hear music. Who's playing music? What the fuck? When you're in that twilight where your brain hasn't fully turned on yet?
Yeah.
So you can't figure stuff out. Like if a phone rings and you expect the alarm to be there, you're like, what the fuck is that? I've never heard of... Anyway, the first thing I do in the morning is pick up my smartphone. Don't even put my glasses on yet. And I hold it up to my face and I look at what time it is. I unlock it and I see if I got any email and I look at Twitter.
Yep.
And I read Google News. The last thing I do before I go to bed is look at my smartphone to make sure the alarm is set.
Same thing.
And then I plug it into a USB thing and I fall asleep.
Same thing.
That's why the Jane McGonigal game, I'm a proponent of it, but at the same time, it's I feel a lack. So yeah, smartphone, I don't think of it as what do I need? What does the smartphone do? Instead, I think smartphone is given. What does it already do that I don't have to do with another device?
Yeah. So really, it's like if you're PC gaming, you need a desktop.
Yes, no way around that.
If you don't have some sort of ultra powerful application that you're working on at home, if you don't already have a desktop, you probably don't need one. Though I would recommend you should be a PC gamer and get a desktop because seriously.
Or in the very least, you need home infrastructure. If you're going all laptop.
Yeah, if you're going all laptop, you need a NAS.
You need a NAS or a SAN in your house.
You don't have a SAN in your house.
You could. We're getting there.
Where are you going to put it?
I actually...
you get a NAS in your house.
Thinking about that because I got a lot of HD video and I was doing pricing.
If you've got a media center, you should get an HDVC.
Yeah.
But, if you go all laptop, you got a laptop and you have a smartphone. Do you need the tablet? Well, I think what it comes down to is, maybe you're like grandma. Grandma probably just needs tablet and nothing else.
Tablet is useful.
Only because tablet would be easier for grandma to use because you just touch the things to make them go.
Well, I'll say this. Here's where tablet could fit into my existing workflows of life.
I would use it on couch, bed, and other places where it would be more comfortable.
If I didn't have a Kindle, I would also use a tablet as an e-reader.
Yeah, maybe.
Because one of my primary use cases now is standing on subway, platform, or train, crowded because it's the 4-5 and it's rush hour. Can't even hold a book with two hands, but I can hold a device in one hand.
Yep.
It's either a phone or a tablet or a Kindle.
iPad's too big for one hand.
I've seen people doing the one hand. You know what they have? So I've seen multiple people with this. It's one of those flip cases that holds the iPad.
It's got a gripper.
When you open it, the inside has a gripper you stick your hand into like a reverse shield.
I'm anti anything like that because it's dorky.
Since when do you care about aesthetics?
I'm
anti
so
that
dorky.
because I have the 100% all my devices are naked at all times. Otherwise, what the fuck's the point?
That's right.
Because, I should qualify that. I am only of the luxury of that because I am wealthy enough to where if I break my smartphone and it's my fault, not that I've ever done that, but if I did, I can afford to just buy a new one. If I was, when I was at RIT and I didn't have any money, I couldn't even afford food, if I had a smartphone, I would have had some sort of protective case.
I'm going further than that, right? I see a lot of people with shattered phones, even people I know. What the fuck did you do? I've dropped my iPhone 3G and 4 many times.
But you dropped your iPod Mini to demonstrate to me how invincible it was. You dropped it 1 foot.
No.
And then poked it with your toe.
No.
And the screen shattered.
That is not correct.
That is what happened.
No, that is not what happened.
I was like, Scott, don't bring that bike. You're going to break it. You're like, no, it's fine. You tossed it on the floor.
This is what happened.
Shattered.
This is what happened, and in fact, I will tell you.
Okay.
I was trying to demonstrate the invincibility of the iPod Mini.
You demonstrated it.
It
very
was
well.
in a case. I dropped it on the floor, and then I stomped on it with my heel, and the screen broke.
If by stomping you mean gave it a little love tap.
No, I was
like
stomping
tapper.
on the screen with my heel of my foot, and it broke. But meanwhile, I had an iPhone 3G and an iPhone 4. At first, I protected the 3G, but that was only for like a few months, and
Scott,
I gave up
I had
on
my
that.
Motorola Razr, the good one, not the shitty Crazer. I was drunk and showered with it on me.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
The next day, I called people with it.
But anyway, I had 3G and a 4.
It fell off
the
my
4
bike
has
once.
never been protected. I've had it for 2 years now. The 3G was only protected for a few months. It was otherwise naked. I dropped them both many times. They have never shattered or broken or had battery problems or anything. So anyone who has them, either it's just more confirmation of my magic technology protecting powers,
Or anecdotal confirmation bias.
or these people who have broken it are doing something. For example, getting drunk and showering with their devices.
But my
or
device was fine when that
throwing
happened.
that, right?
I dropped that same one in the toilet like 4 times over the course of the time I had it.
Protectors are dumb. You only need a protector if you need to protect it from yourself. If you need to protect it from yourself, what
Actually,
the hell is
I am
wrong
thinking
with you?
about getting a protector, but I won't use this protector all the time. This protector is
a waterproof protector
Yes.
for Yon Beach.
for Yon Beach and rock climbing / mountain climbing because last year,
for that you want a device, a thing that lets you tether it to yourself. So if you drop it off a mountain, it's just sort of hanging.
Well, no,
off
what
you.
I want is because when I went in the Adirondacks
and
for
it,
this,
it doesn't go tick, tick, tick all the way down the mountain. Tick, tick.
oh
tick,
my god,
tick.
I did drop my phone skiing once, and it's this phone with this convex. It landed like this and started just sledded down,
Nice.
like whee! I was chasing it. It was going faster than me.
Oh man, you should make a ski that's shaped like the bottom of that phone.
You know, skis are kind of shaped like the bottom of this phone, actually.
No, man, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where was I going with this? Right, so we went mountain climbing, right? Through torrential pouring rain. Like I was walking down a waterfall at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone but me brought their fucking smartphones with them in like multiple Ziploc bags. Every one of those smartphones was fucked.
Really? Because the Ziploc bags filled up with water?
Ziploc, they didn't fill up, but enough moisture got in.
Yep.
Yeah, little secret, guys. 1 Ziploc bag, not enough.
No kidding.
2 Ziploc bags, barely enough. But I'm thinking about getting a like hard case that also is a like arm strap, so I can strap the smartphone to my arm.
Well, I mean, that's a special purpose thing, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with, say, having the thing that lets you tie your iPhone to your arm for running, or the one to mount it to the front of your bike
we did a
for
show like that on
biking.
shoes. We were like, it's one thing to have 100 pair of crooked slightly so fashion shoes.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
I
another
have
thing-
the same. I have 10 Nike sneakers in 10 different colors.
But no, I
That's
got
dumb.
let's see, ski boots, rollerblades, running shoes,
Exactly.
hiking shoes,
But
climbing shoes,
the
snow
default,
boots.
the default phone protector is naked. The default protector is always naked.
The thing is, what really gets me is the Kindle. Like the Kindle is the main reason I don't get a pad because I love e-readers. I like after a month of using that thing, fuck paper books. I like now when I have to open a paper book, I'm like, my God.
I still like a paper book, but the Kindle is the first e-reader that I can actually kind of use.
The only thing is I won't use the Kindle on the beach.
Nah.
So I got to bring a physical book to the beach. So I think my plan
I've had bad
is
luck with that too. I've had books get so wet on the beach.
I only bring books I bought at the beach.
Yeah,
to
and
the
then-
beach.
And then I remember one time I bought a book at the beach, and then I left it out on the...
Oh, you left it outside overnight.
I left it outside overnight, but
got dude.
the thing is, the worst part about it was I saw the book out there on the stoop, and I knew that it was out on the stoop.
And you were like, yeah, it'll be fine.
No, I thought it was someone else's book.
Ha!
Which is
so
the
you're
reason,
just a dick.
Right? And I was like, oh, someone else leaving their book outside, whatever. It doesn't bother me. And I'm
Scott,
like,
if there was ever karma in the world.
and I still haven't finished reading. It was Kidnapped by Stevenson. I
yeah.
haven't finished reading that.
But so basically, look, I need a device that I can read books on, and I have it's a device that only does that. I got the non-touchscreen Kindle. The cool thing about it is it fits in my pocket, like for real. naked. If it was in a case, it wouldn't.
Fits in a big pocket.
It fits in all my blazer pockets.
But you can't like. It's a big pocket. You can't sit on it though. It doesn't bend.
No,
right?
no. But it'll fit in my
so it's
jean
like,
pockets.
Yeah, it's like you can get it in the pocket and you can walk around, but it's like it's a little big in there, and then you can't sit with it.
But if you're
there.
wearing a jacket, like a blazer or a suit, it just fits in the pocket perfectly.
Well, I mean, a giant gun will fit in there. Right?
Yeah,
That's sort of the point.
So that covers e-reading. My phone covers pretty much all want to connect to things when I'm not home. So the only things I need a laptop for are showing video and audio conventions, editing HD video while I'm at said conventions so I don't forget about it and, put up a video from PAX just in time for the next PAX, and recording audio from a FireWire thing live at an event. So I need a super powerful laptop.
The things I need my laptop for are conventions, of course, right?
Yep.
Doing computing for real, like in the bedroom, just because I don't want to get up out of bed on Saturday morning, but maybe I could do some work. Sometimes you need to do something that involves multiple computers, especially developing.
Yep.
So I got to get more computers going on in the house just to, do network stuff or who knows what, right?
Yeah, I never have to do
Sometimes
that at home,
I had to bring a
least.
computer that like moves, right? For example, I want to plug a real computer into, say, my Apple IIgs. Well, I can't bring my desktop over there, and the Apple IIgs is big and heavy, and maybe I don't want to bring that over near the desktop, stuff like that. And also, when you go to events in the city, like hacker events, you got to bring a laptop, right? I can't bring my desktop there to do, right? So I need a portable thing that can also do coding work. The laptop is the only thing in the world that does that.
That's part of why I'm looking at this one, because it's powerful enough. I mean, there's no video card. It won't play games effectively, but it'll do some of that stuff well enough. Like I'll be able to play Civ 5 on it if I want.
Yeah, but if I didn't need to do this work on the go, I could probably just have the iPad instead or something like that. I don't know.
So I have all these use cases, so I need a very portable, very high-powered laptop. So again, I need an Ultrabook. There aren't that... I mean, there's still a lot of Ultrabooks. I'm surprised, but I think...
There's more than there used to be, but they're different than they used to be, because now they used to be, right, more like the Lenovo X that I have, which is we'll make a laptop. We're going to just make it a smaller screen size, like 12, 13 inches, but at the same time, we're going to pack a lot of horsepower into there. Lots of RAM, lots of CPU, lots of everything.
My X230
lots
is
of
have,
everything but video card and an SSD.
My X230 is going to have 8 gigs of RAM and an i7.
Yeah, right? And an SSD in
It's
there.
actually almost better than my desktop, except for the video card.
But what's happened now is the MacBook Air, right, is sort of like Ultrabook, but it's sort of netbook, right? I view it as like extra small netbook, but it's slightly more like reliable, and it's not just gonna like die on you like a netbook. It's actually gonna last, and it does normal computing work. I could almost use it if it ran Windows and
but
didn't
here's
have
my
a
thing
crappy keyboard.
with the Airs and all that stuff. A laptop that is big in horizontal, in 2 dimensions and super thin in the third one is not useful to me. I need something I can carry in a tiny bag.
Exactly.
That's why
I mean, the MacBook Air isn't that big, is very, very small, even in all the dimensions.
It is.
But it's like the thinness is impressive, but at the same time, it's like, how much does that thinness really affect me, right? What affects me more? Having to carry a whole... No, the weight of the Air is also way less. It's that for the Air, you need like a zillion adapters on it to get all these connectors and thingies that you need to do work. Whereas the Lenovo X just has freaking USBs all over the place and a VGA and Ethernet, even as a dial-up modem.
Daddy, 2 USB 3 and 1 always powered USB 2.
Right. It's got headphone hole, microphone hole. I got all these holes, removable batteries, all these things that allow me to get work done, right? And for the price of that is an extra centimeter or 2 of thickness, but it's really not any bigger than any other dimensions so much. And it has a real non-chiclet keyboard.
I was kind of sold on the X230 because the X220 was so great. But, I got to do my due diligence. So I did a whole bunch of research. All the other similar ultra-portable, Ultrabook kind of things I found were $1,000 more, slightly smaller, not any more powerful.
Yeah, everyone's trying to copy the MacBook Air.
I'm not going to pay another
$1,000
$1,000 to save like 2 millimeters in one dimension.
Yeah, everyone's just copying the Air because they think
also,
that's the way
seriously,
to go.
I love my Fujitsu Lifebook. Like that, Fujitsu makes really great like boutique Ultrabooks. But Fujitsu's support really fucking sucks. Like really hard to get any sort of drivers or help. And like they had the shock sensor thing that, protects the hard drive.
You don't need that if you have an SSD.
I know. But yeah, that stopped working as soon as I installed Service Pack 1 of Vista. And I went to Fujitsu. They're like, yeah, we don't support that. It just, like, those sort of, like, non-big name in America laptops seem to be crooked slightly so in weird ways that just cause problems down the road.
That is one thing that's very annoying, right? When you build a desktop, right?
I get like our, 8-bit or Asus motherboard with Intel chipset.
Well, no, you build it on your own, which means you install clean Windows or clean Linux on it.
Oh, you're going that road,
right? No one buys a desktop that's already put together. Right?
People do, but not
if you
nerds.
buy a laptop, you can't really buy a blank one. I mean, you can. There are companies that sell like awesome Linux laptops and stuff like that, but their hardware is so bad, it's not worth it, right?
Now, the only way to do it, you can't get a clean installed disk either. They either give you a restore partition or like a DVD that reinstalls all the bullshit.
Yeah, if you buy a laptop that's already put together that has a bunch of bullshit on it. At least Lenovo, at least the one I had, you could go on and uninstall all their bullshit through the uninstall programs menu, and it would work. You just had to uninstall all their stuff, and then it would be clean Windows. Ta-da! But otherwise, you got to get a Windows disk from somewhere. Because
Yep, but without, you get the key and everything, but they're not going to give you the disc, and legally, technically, contract, whatever, you'd have to buy a new license.
Somebody was saying that if you buy a Dell, I don't know how true this is.
I'm not getting a Dell laptop.
Right, but somebody said if you buy a Dell, or maybe certain Dell, I don't know, and you click the right thing when you're checking out, they'll send you the disc, and the disc is a real Windows disc that's blank. Someone said that. I don't know if it's true or not.
I would pay like $20 more just for you to not give me your Norton bullshit. I don't want it.
I don't know why they give this bullshit.
Why do they? I guess Norton and all those people pay them. It's the
well,
only...
I mean, I can understand Norton, right, paying them to do something, right? But take this for example. You buy Lenovo, and in the taskbar, there's this Intel Wi-Fi manager, right? Intel or Lenovo, what do they gain by having that there? Windows already has a Wi-Fi manager.
And it works fine.
Why do they have this other Wi-Fi manager in there that's uglier?
I could see.
And is worse.
If it let you use some special features of the hardware that weren't standard.
Why don't you just make a normal Windows driver that exposes those so that the Windows Wi-Fi thing can take advantage of that?
Nope, but I was going to make an even more rude point.
Right, a standard Windows driver.
No one uses those things anyway. Like in the X230, you can get, now it's free to get the regular Intel chipset for the Wi-Fi instead of the Lenovo one.
When you get it, there's going to be this bullshit installed.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying hardware-wise, you can get the Lenovo one or the Intel one. You can pick for free which one.
Yeah.
Or you can pay like $50 to get the Intel like special one. As far as I can tell, it does.
No, I thought that has 3G if you buy that.
No, the 3G stuff is completely separate from that.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of like special hardware and software for Wi-Fi that, as far as I can tell, is not used by any actual environment anywhere in the world.
Yeah, you see all these things like, hey, it's double Wi-Fi. Like it connects,
no, it's not.
It connects twice, and you get double bandwidth because it's like you're connecting with two Wi-Fi.
I defy you to get your router to support that.
Yeah, nothing will do that unless you buy like a set of hardware, and then it'll work once and never work again. It's bullshit. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I did all my research.
So that was a great way to kill an episode.
I think right now I need a new laptop. My Fujitsu from 2008, early 2008, is getting near its end. Though I'm turning it into the kitchen PC.
Okay.
So I don't have to print out recipes anymore.
See, tablet's actually really good for a kitchen PC.
Nah, maybe.
Right, because then you
if it was mounted on the wall, like I'd
no, because even if you because it's a tablet, you can just wipe it off. If you get the keyboard going on in there, stuff can get in there in the kitchen.
Well, what I would do is
and
I would
all
actually
get dirty. You touch some eggs and then you touch the keyboard.
I would actually
right?
mount the tablet on the wall.
Right, but you touch some eggs, you touch a tablet. Well, you can just wipe that off, spray it with some whatever, right? It'll be all clean again. Spray it with some rubbing alcohol water mixture. Be all good, and it won't be all nasty with who knows what kind of food.
But my
substances.
line of buying any hardware is: does it fill a need I have? And is that need a legitimate need?
Yeah.
And is it worth the money? It's not worth the price of iPad for slightly less chance of ruining a really old, barely functional laptop.
No, I mean, what price of iPad? Slightly more comfortable computing in bed when I wake up and go to bed, and slightly more comfortable computing on the couch.
Yep.
Not worth $500.
Because I'm not going to carry it to Starbucks. I got my phone
not carrying
for that.
it anywhere. I already carry all the things I need everywhere right now.
Whenever I see someone holding up a gigantic iPad or MacBook to take a picture with a built-in camera,
I want to just reach up and smack the tablet
Scott,
and hit him in the head.
The act is its own punishment as it is.
No, because they don't realize it. It's the same thing. I see people with iPhones or all kinds of smartphones, And they don't hold them next to their head like a regular phone when they're talking on the phone. They'll like hold it like a taco, or they'll just put the bottom near their mouth, like pointing forward. Or people are holding their phones in all these weird ways. It's like, dude, it's a phone. You hold it like a phone. This part near the ear, this part near the mouth, right? Or people have those little headphones that have the microphone on the wire. And then they'll like grab the microphone part and push it close to their face. It's like, no, just
Actually,
walk.
no, you have to do that. Mine,
You do not.
mine, the way it works, it's just a microphone. If you leave it hanging by the neck, no one can hear shit.
No, that's bullshit. I have the Etymotics, and also I've done this with the official Apple ones.
Yep.
Right? There's a microphone on the string. You just let it hang where it hangs.
Yes, I tried that,
And
Scott.
you
And if
just-
I'm on the street in New York and I do that,
I've done it.
I've done it too.
It
My
worked
voice,
just fine.
I called myself and recorded it. You basically hear the traffic and me in the distance.
I've used it. It works just fine. You just push the button and you just start talking. You don't touch anything. You just leave the phone in your pocket. You leave the wire where it is. Just talk. Right? If you have a smartphone, you hold it like a phone next to your head. If you do not do those
I hold the
things,
microphone near my mouth because otherwise it doesn't work.
yours is shitty. Mine doesn't have this problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm buying a new laptop. I think the best Ultrabook from everything all the research I can do, the Lenovo X230 wins.
Which is still sad because it has problems. Like it has a chiclet keyboard.
as far as I can, well, it has a chiclet keyboard and a relatively low resolution screen.
Yeah. I mean, it's not perfect, and it's like, how come a perfect thing doesn't exist? Why?
It does. It's $1,000. Well, it's not perfect. Yeah, I can get slightly better for another $1,000.
What can you get for $1,000?
Slightly higher resolution screen, slightly thinner from like Panasonic. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.